Diamond Tiara looked around curiously. The bright pastel walls were probably supposed to make the visitors feel happy, but for her it didn't work. Everyone she'd met since she'd arrived here in the morning was treating her with a distinctive kind of affability that is taught in the medical schools. The one which everyone can easily see is fake, but they believe it in anyway. The weather outside was sunny. It was one of the hottest summers in Equestria's history, and ponies in Trottingham were enjoying it, walking around the old town, chatting happily. Diamond Tiara, however, didn't notice them. She'd walk the whole distance from the railway station to the hospital, watching the pavement between her hooves, lost in thoughts. She couldn't stop thinking about what she'd done. When she'd realized that she hadn't killed Silver Spoon, she'd cheered up a bit. But when she was lying in her bed, struck by the flu, she'd gotten the news that had almost killed her. Twist and Alula were missing. Worse, Alula had gone missing somewhere over the Everfree Forest. Their bodies hadn't been found yet. But, over a week of searching, almost everyone in town considered them dead. Diamond Tiara tried to remember Alula's face. She got nothing. She knew Twist well. It was hard to forget some pony so original. But when she tried to recall how Alula looked, she had nothing. The only thing she remembered was a Hearts and Hooves Day card lying forgotten somewhere in her room. What was constantly bugging Diamond Tiara during the sleepless nights when she was recovering from the flu, how pointless were the deaths of Alula and Twist. Alula was just a small Pegasus lost in the forest. Her only fault was that instead of someone who helped her, she'd encountered Diamond Tiara, who, by some fragment of a diseased imagination, mistook her as Scootaloo. Not to mention Twist. Twist, who, as Diamond Tiara knew, was always so kind for Silver Spoon. In fact, Twist was one of the kindest ponies in Ponyville. That was probably what killed her. She'd seen Diamond Tiara going somewhere during the storm and followed her, only to be killed and dumped in the swamp. Sometimes, when she had a fever, Diamond Tiara could see the glimpses of what had happened in that night in the forest. Sometimes there were parts of the hallucination she'd had. Sometimes there were blurry fragments of what really happened. Diamond Tiara couldn't tell which was worse. Now, when she was recovered from the flu, she could finally go to Trottingham, the medical clinic for foals led by Dr. Midline Shift. It was located in a large, modern building on the town's outskirts, surrounded by a park. As soon as Filthy Rich said goodbye to her and left the hospital, she lay down on her bed and started to think. She didn't remember what exactly she'd done with the bodies, but she knew that sooner or later someone would find them. Would they connect her with the crimes? She remembered throwing the knife away, but there was always a chance that it'd be found too. She looked around the room. 2 nightstands, 2 chairs, a table, and 2 beds were its furniture. There was a large window with a view of the park. Diamond Tiara knew that it was impossible to break the glass, and the staff didn't want to risk the patients hurting themselves. When she arrived at that room, the nurse told her that her roommate should come to her soon. Diamond Tiara looked at the opposite wall and saw a photo taped to it, just above the bed. It depicted an orange unicorn filly with a short green mane, smiling impishly at the camera. She was about 7 years old and had no cutie mark. Diamond Tiara thought that she looked a bit like a carrot. She looked at the photo once again and saw something that struck it about her. Not the filly herself, but rather the place the photo was taken. The filly was resting nonchalantly on a coffin, surrounded by scattered pieces of granite. Guess we'll get on well with another, Diamond Tiara thought. She got out of bed and walked beside the room. The corridors and halls of the hospital were spacious and well lit. She didn't walk for long before she met another patient. First thing she noticed about the filly in front of her were her big, dark green eyes. She had a pale yellow coat and an orange mane, braided in a fashion similar to Silver Spoon. She also had a lot of freckles. Her cutie mark depicted 2 theater masks. "Hello," she said cheerfully. "My name's Curtain Call. Are you new here?" "Yes," Diamond Tiara replied. "I'm Diamond Tiara. I was just looking around." "Yeah. Nice place, don't you think?" Curtain Call looked at a nearby wall. "Some kids want to go home as soon as they feel better, but I really like it. Well, I'd rather be in Ponyville, too, Dementiara muttered. She started to wonder why Curtain Call didn't ask her why she was there. Maybe it was taboo. Oh, you're from Ponyville. Curtain Call smiled, showing her perfectly white teeth. I've been there once with my mom. I really liked the forest. Yeah, we love it too. Dementiara deadpanned. Something about Curtain Call's smile seemed unnatural. You know, we're preparing the pageant for Horse-Swarming Eve, Curtain Call said. I'll be Smart Cookie. We're still looking for someone to play Counselor Puddinghead. If you could... Sorry, but I don't think I'm going to stay here until December, Dementiara replied. Also, isn't that a little too early? You know, it's not even July. Curtain Call's expression didn't change a bit. Too bad, she said. I think it's still better to start the preparations early. I have more time to make everything perfect. Dementiara nodded. Just like Curtain Call, she appreciated perfection. You know, I can always help you with the scenography, she said. Before Curtain Call could reply, they heard trotting, and one of the nurses, who'd earlier introduced herself to Dementiara as Charming Heart, approached them. Dementiara didn't like the look on her face. Curtain Call! The nurse exclaimed. What did I tell you about sneaking out of the secure unit? Curtain Call stopped smiling. She shuddered visibly, her lip quivering. But it's always so boring there. Why can't I go out and play with the other kids? Charming Heart smiled, sighed. Dementiara looked at her, and to her surprise, noticed the nurse was also on the verge of tears. I'll talk with Dr. Shift about that, she said dryly. But now you must go with me. But I don't want to, Curtain Call shouted. Curtain Call, please. The nurse sat next to her and patted her mane gently. I don't want to do anything against your will, but if you keep refusing, I'll have to call the doctors. Curtain Call froze. No, she cried. Not the doctors. Will you come with me? Charming Heart asked. Yes. Curtain Call muttered reluctantly. They both walked away, leaving Dementiara alone in the corridor. What in the hay? Dementiara muttered. Girl? He's crazy. Some pony behind her said, prolonging the vowels in a particular manner. Dementiara jumped, startled, and looked back. At first, she wanted to run away. It seemed to her that Pipsqueak had come back to life and was there to tease her. However, when she blinked, she saw that the colt in front of her wasn't even remotely similar to him. I see you've met Curtain Call, he said in a slow, sad voice. His appearance matched it. Gray coat, black mane, half-closed eyes, were giving an impression that he was constantly tired. What's wrong with her? Dementiara asked. Haven't you heard? The colt gave out a small chuckle. He shot nervous glances around before continuing. It was big news a year ago in Manhattan. You know, she's perfectly normal. Usually. But sometimes she's flips. He waved his hoof. And then she ain't nice anymore. During one of her attacks, she murdered her parents, and then, as if nothing happened, went to the rehearsal of her theater group. You know, massacre. She came there covered in blood from head to hooves and began reciting Smart Cookie's lines. Cool stuff. I bet her classmates shit themselves. Dementiara stopped listening to him. For her, there was nothing cool about Curtain Call's story. She couldn't help but think how much it resembled her own. Will I also end up like this? Sneaking out of the war just to talk to some pony? Listen. She realized she didn't even know the colt's name. How's the secure unit? I don't even speak that name. Suddenly, the colt lowered his voice to a whisper. The only way to put someone that they don't like there. Dementiara wasn't sure that it was they with capital T. You better watch out, the colt continued. If they give you any pills, don't take them. I know how to hide them. I can teach you. I hide them under the loose tile in the bed. He looked around and chuckled nervously. Watch out for the sockets. There are cameras and microphones in them. Watch out for the food. What? Tiara looked at the Colt carefully. Maybe Curtin Call had killed her parents, but she seemed more normal than him. Sometimes they take them. Someone, the Colt whispered. Then they remove their brain and add it to the food. Tiara rose her eyebrows. How do you know? I once ate Sunshine Rainbow's brain, and I could hear her thoughts, the Colt explained. Believe me, punk. If you could hear my thoughts, you'd jump out the window and stop pissing me off, another voice said. Tiara lifted her head and saw an orange filly, the same she'd seen in the photo in her room. She was slightly older in the picture, probably a bit older than Tiara, but she still had a no cutie mark. She approached them and glared at the Colt angrily. Also, last time I checked, my brain is still in its place, she said. Stop scaring the new kid and get lost, or what? The Colt asked bluntly. Or I'll tell the shrinks that you don't take your meds, and you'll end up in the secure unit where you belong. You wouldn't dare. The Colt's voice faltered. Wanna bet? The Colt shot her a nasty glare and walked away, muttering something under his breath. What a dweeb, the orange filly muttered. By the way, name's Sunshine Rainbows. Tiara, I think we'll be roommates? Cool. Sunshine's voice was devoid of any trace of emotion. Why are you here? Nothing big. I just can't sleep. Tiara replied. How about you? At least you won't snore, Sunshine muttered. About me, well... She lifted her foreleg and showed it to Tiara, who shuddered. The inner side of her forearm was covered in scars. Some of them were old, some of them were quite fresh. Don't look at me like that. If I wanted to kill myself, I'd do it along the way, not across the street. Sunshine chuckled. Why did you do that? Tiara asked. They walked to their room and sat on their beds. To make my parents stop thinking only about their coffins and gravestones, Sunshine replied, smiling at the photo on the wall. Really, they pay more attention to those stiffs who are their clients than me. Even when I bled like a pig on a Griffion party, they preferred to just drop me here for a couple of weeks. Sounds terrible, Tiara said. It's not that bad. I actually like the place. You know, there are some little shits here, like this guy you talked to, but the rest of the kids are pretty cool. They like to tell stories, and I like stories. The sadder the better. I guess it's just how I roll. Sunshine Rainbows looked at Tiara curiously. What's your story, Diamond? Tiara hesitated. She didn't know if she could trust her. Sunshine Rainbows seemed okay, but she was a blank flank. Not to mention that she was cutting herself, which Tiara found gross. But on the other hoof, killing other ponies was probably even worse. Well, I'm from Ponyville, she started. Oh. Sunshine smirked. It looked even worse than her usual deadpan expression. I heard about those foals that were missing there. Something about that DJ eating them? Don't know. Is that why you can sleep? No, it started earlier, Tiara said reluctantly. But it's gotten worse since then. Nothing weird. Sunshine Rainbows nodded. So your parents decided to send you to the old midline shift? My mom is dead, Tiara said. Listen, can we talk about something else? Sorry, Sunshine muttered. I guess you feel bad about those kids. Were they your friends? Kinda, Tiara replied. She looked at Sunshine Rainbow and noticed that her vision started to blur around the edges. She grabbed the frame of her bread, shivering slightly. Tiara. Sunshine looked at her unsurely. Equestria to Tiara, are you okay? Tiara's vision sharpened. Yes, she replied. I must have zoned out. Yeah, I see. Sunshine chuckled. For a moment, I thought you wanted to murder me like that actress from the security unit. Tiara froze. Does she know? She thought. Curtain call? I met her earlier. She ran away again. Crap, I always miss the show. What'd you do this time? Once they tried to let her out of the secure unit. She lasted a day. Then this happened. Sunshine Rainbows brushed some hair from her face, revealing a small scar. Chair leg. Luckily, I saw it coming. I wasn't good at controlling my magic back then, and I almost killed the poor girl. She sighed. Maybe it'd be better for her. Since then, they don't risk letting her out. This time she didn't do anything, Tiara replied. She just wanted me to play a part of Counselor Puddinghead on the Hearthwarming Eve pageant. Oh, this. Suddenly, Sunshine Rainbows frowned. You know, Diamond, I've seen lots of creepy shit here. She always makes me... For a while, she looked for the right word, then wiped her eyes. You know, the doctor said that she's, like, in complete denial. She killed her parents, and she still talks how they'll come to see her playing in some stupid pageant. She's still learning her part. But she doesn't really know that her parents are gone, and there's no pageant. And when the Hearthwarming Eve comes, she just brushes it off and waits another year. But there's still no pageant. Tiara lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Will I also start to wait for something that'll never happen? Will I spend whole years preparing for it? You just need to acknowledge the fact that there's no pageant? Someone knocked on the door. Sunshine Rainbows opened it. Good afternoon, Miss Charming Heart, she said. Hello, Sunshine. Tiara. Dr. Schiff wants to see you. We're going to monitor your brainwaves during the night with ECG. Tiara got up. So, I won't be sleeping here tonight? No, Charming Heart replied. But tomorrow you can join your friend. Friend? I wouldn't call her that, Tiara thought, trotting dutifully behind the nurse. It had been 2 weeks since Alula and Twist had disappeared. The summer was hot. Even the ponies guarding the streets hid in the nooks, waiting for the sun to set. Vinyl took a sip of her beer and looked at the small Pegasus filly flying just above the ground, buzzing her wings like a hummingbird. What's up, Zip? She asked. How's your dad? Hello, Auntie. He's okay, thanks. Zipperwill replied. Have you seen Nano? I can't find him anywhere. And the little dog of yours? I've seen him somewhere here. Vinyl replied, pointing to the nearby street. Suddenly, someone next to her cleared her throat. What's going on, Barry? Vinyl asked coldly. She noticed how Barry was looking at her and Zipperwill, simultaneously trying not to look at the beer Vinyl was holding. Zip, you better go find Nano. And remember, don't go too far away. Zipperwill flew away. She could never understand what Barry Punch wanted from Auntie Vinyl. She only knew that it had something to do with all those ponies who suddenly disappeared. Nano! She growled. There was no answer. The street was leading her to Ponyville outskirts. In fact, Vinyl wasn't her aunt. However, she was an old friend of her father. They'd worked together on some album. Zipperwill's father had never let her listen to it, but she'd done it anyway when he'd been in Canterlot. She didn't exactly like it. Her father's guitar and Vinyl's beat sounded good together, but the vocalist who performed with them used way too many bad words for her liking. Even though she was far away, she could still hear Vinyl and Barry arguing. Barry was talking about why Vinyl shouldn't be allowed to even look at foals, while Vinyl kept telling her how dumb she was. Zipperworld didn't understand them. Vinyl was always good to her. Why shouldn't they meet? She was flying above the meadow, calling to her dog. It was slowly getting darker. Zipperwill looked around at the sky and thought about what Vinyl had told her. She took a glance at the town behind her and decided to go home. Nano was sure to come back. He always came back. Suddenly, she heard barking from the forest in front of her. "Nano!" she cried unsurely. The only answer was more barking. She darted forward. Although it was a while since she'd learned to fly, she still had some problems with maneuvering, so she slowed down to avoid hitting a tree. "Nano, where are you?" she asked, searching frantically through the bushes. She looked around and shuddered. It was quite deep in the forest, and she could barely see the outline of the town behind her. She found a small clearing and landed on it. She didn't like places like this. There was a swamp nearby, and its smell was unbearable. The ground was moist. Soon after landing, Zipperwill fell knee-deep into the mud, so she turned to take off again. She heard barking, this time closer. She also noticed some background noises. It sounded like buzzing of an insect, but it was louder. Zipperwill suddenly shuddered when she thought about a swarm of bees that could be there. "Nano!" She looked forward and saw the small terrier in front of her. "There you are!" The dog was dirty. Nothing unusual since he'd walked all the way through the forest. He was barking and growling, attacking some object in the mud. "Nano, leave it!" Zipperwill ordered. She approached the dog, taking a leash she had with her. She caught Nano and took the object he was munching out of his teeth. "Ew." She winced and threw it on the ground. "Why'd you eat that rotting piece of meat?" Suddenly, she froze and looked at her hoof. Some meat and feathers stuck to it. She wanted to wipe it, but she couldn't take her gaze away from it. Although the feathers were ragged and dirty, she could see their original color. She'd recognize that shade of yellow anywhere. "No," she whispered, her eyes wide in horror. "No, please." Slowly, she turned her gaze away from her hoof and looked at the swamp in front of her. Or rather, the two swollen, grotesque shapes emerging from it, surrounded by swarms of flies. "Lula. Twist. No," she murmured, her throat dry. The smell of the swamp was assaulting her nostrils. She could feel the taste of bile in her mouth. She backed away slowly, still looking towards the swamp. When she felt that she could reach the bushes, she turned back and flew away as fast as she could, not caring about the trees or loose branches. All she wanted to do was get out of there, screaming and crying, and hide somewhere to forget what she'd seen. Finally, she left the forest and crashed to the ground, releasing Nano from her grasp. She barely noticed when Vinyl, alarmed by the dog running around the town, barking like crazy, approached her and helped her up. "What happened?" she asked, panting heavily. Zipperwill told her. She was clenching her eyelids shut, trying to get rid of the picture of the swamp from her head, to just forget it. Forgetting was always so easy. Never before forgetting was so hard for Zipperwill.